So we got the game, and I can immediately tell that we're facing a Freddy by the clocks on the icons on the left-hand side of the screen. I'm gonna go to this gen, which might be a little risky. He has Dying Light. Yeah, and the Freddy's here. There appears to be no pallet here, so I'm gonna get hit here. I'm gonna run to this room with the 2 pallets. These are both pretty safe pallets. While he's putting a snare there, I'm gonna run to this other pallet. He did a weird little mind game there that allows me to get another loop out of this. But I'm gonna just throw it here. While he's kicking that, I'm just gonna leave the room. Still chasing me. There's a pallet here. This one is not as safe as those other 2, but it's still pretty safe. I don't know if that's a good snare or not. This one is. I guess that is one. Okay, so this pallet here is a really good pallet. For this one, you always want to run on the long side of the pallet, never the short side. Okay, he's teleporting away. Maybe that was a tinker? Maybe he just went to leave. Let's see if there's room back here. There's not. Oh, a gem did pop. That might have been tinker. That's a pretty good perk on Freddy since he can teleport to gems. So, I think one of the big questions when you're playing against Freddy is, when should you wake up? And if it's convenient, it's usually a pretty good idea to wake up, because it nullifies a huge part of Freddy's power. It makes the snares and pallets useless against you. But right now, my clock is on the other side of the map. They saved that thing somehow. Maybe a pallet set? Or a flashbang? But since the clock is on the other side of the map right now, I'm gonna work on this gen instead. I'm also taking into account like my location, so right now I'm in this room that has the big drop, and I know that the pallet downstairs is still good since I was the first one chased. So I think I'm in a pretty safe position right now, where I think if he came here, I think I easily have a getaway plan. I think it's also important to consider the strengths and weaknesses of Freddy snares. So Freddy snares are really good against windows, because when you're vaulting windows, there are actually 3 different speeds. You can slow vault a window, you can medium vault a window, or you can fast vault a window. And Freddy snares make you hindered so that you will medium vault even if you're running. But for pallets, which the game has a lot of pallets, okay, so that perk there was Scorch Hook, Pain Resonance. So we know he has Dying Light, Scorch Hook, Pain Resonance, and maybe Tinker? So I jump down here. Let's see if he drops. He doesn't appear to drop. He could be coming around, or maybe he just left. But since the game has a lot of pallets, and you can only have 2 speeds for pallet, you either slow vault a pallet or fast vault a pallet, and even if you're hindered, you can still fast vault a pallet. That makes Freddy's snares a little less good on the game. So since the game, especially since the game has a lot of safe pallets, I'm a little less worried about waking up than I would be maybe on a different map, or maybe versus his pallets if I didn't know which pallets were being found. So I'm gonna rescue this thing here. And heal them up. Missed a skill check. And so right now, my gen that was almost done is regressing with Ruin. But right now, I think it's a better idea just to let that gen regress and to reset my team. So I want to heal up this thing and rescue the survivor on Hook. Because the game has a lot of resources. There's a lot of pallets. So I wouldn't worry too much about, you know, running out of resources necessarily. I think a bigger concern would be us, you know, being all injured, the Freddy being able to snowball us. So I want to make sure my team is good, and then, you know, I can go find Ruin or work on those gens later. So in general, Freddy's pallets are considered weaker than his snares, but sometimes, like, especially with this map, I might even be more afraid of the pallets, especially if, you know, if you're solo queue, you don't know what pallets your teammates have been dropping, especially, you know, if you have comms or if you have the perk Windows of Opportunity, or if you're being chased the entire time, you might know which pallets are being dropped, but it can be kind of scary on this map to not know which pallets are being dropped. So in that case, if he had pallets, I might honestly prefer to wake up so that I can tell which pallets are real, so that way when I do fall asleep, I know I can use those pallets. I'm gonna go back to my gen, but it's probably pretty regressed by now. I like to run through snares. It does, you know, you do scream, so it does alert the killer to your position. I can hear that the Cheryl dropped a pallet in the room below me. And Freddy kicked that pallet, so there's no pallet in the room below me now. But I do kind of like to run through snares just to, you know, maybe help my other teammates out. But watch out, because it does, you know, he does know that you run through them as you do scream. Okay, this thing's gonna finish healing me up, which is good. I'd ideally like to find a ruin here, but I'm not sure where it is. I'm really bad at finding totems on this map. Since I'm healthy and have not been hooked yet, and everyone else has been hooked, I'm gonna do this gen, because if he chases me, that's good. It'll take pressure off my teammates. So I'm gonna make it enticing to chase me. I don't think he's interested though. That scorch hook is also a pretty good hook for Freddy because he knows which gen to teleport to. I can shake the Cheryl, heal them up since everyone else is injured again. And this person's on death hook. Oh, he also has Thanat, so he has Dying Light, Thanatophobia, and the Scorch Hook. And maybe Tinker? I don't know if I ever was able to tell that. It's hard to tell if he has Tinker if you're always in the dream world because, you know, you're oblivious anyway. Do you want to heal? No. He's coming this way. I'm gonna try to get him to chase me instead of the thing. Oh, he is chasing me. Oh, there's no pallet here. I don't think there's one on the other side either. Yeah, I get hit too. Oh, that was a terrible 360. Oh, there's no pallet here either. Just make a run for it. Oh? Right here. This is a super safe pallet. Just wait here until he kicks it. Okay, and this is a really good pallet here. A god pallet. There's someone with the snowman right here. Oh, this is bad because they'll probably chase them instead of me now. And I still haven't been hooked yet, so I prefer me to be chased than anyone else. Okay, at least there's the Fang, and the Fang is not dead on hook, whereas the Cheryl and Jake are dead on hook, so that's good. Okay, another gen is more progressed than this one, which is good, but it's probably gonna go above our bed instead of me. Oh, someone got ruined, I never even noticed. I should be healing this thing, she shouldn't be healing me, but... You can hold, I believe, shift to cancel if someone else is healing you. And Jake's dead. I don't think if I took a protection hit, he'd be able to reroll anyway, so I'm not gonna just give him free hits. I want him to chase me instead of the Fang. I think I'm still okay here. He might just leave me here. Yeah. Back to this gym. If he comes, I'm gonna try to take the hit for this thing. Yeah, he's going after Fang. That's good on him. Bad for us. See, he might have... Did he fake teleport there? No, actually, he might have actually teleported. Watch out for... He sometimes can... He sometimes will fake the teleport in order to try to get you out of position. So try to see where he is and where he's teleporting to and try to avoid being out of position. Yeah, this was a pretty unsafe loop with those two snares. He was able to get me. Oh, the last gen's really close. You know, I think the difference might have been just me healing that Fang instead of the Fang healing me. Which is unfortunate. And also, I tried to get him to chase me a few times, but I maybe should have been more aggressive in trying to take aggro, because I had not been humped for a long time. Alright, this is probably the game. The game. So I hope that helped give you some tips on some things you can do to kind of counter Freddy and his power. I think this was actually a fairly decent map for facing Freddy on, since there's so many safe pallets that I was able to use against him. If you liked this video, it's part of an ongoing series where I explain how to counter each killer and their power while playing against them, so you can check that out if you're interested. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.